Welcome back to Behind the Wire on Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Robert Burwell. I'm also the president of the Washington 3%. It's been a while since we've been on. Had a lot of stuff going on. Haven't been able to make videos. But we're going to be going back to that, trying for at least one a week, maybe two, and we'll see how it goes from here. But this video has to be put out today. This is very important for the people of Washington. This is an alert to be on your guard and to be careful where you go this coming weekend. So, this Saturday, June 14th, 2025, is the No Kings Nationwide Day of Defiance. This is a national protest, but there's going to be protests in several locations around Washington. And if it's anything like past demonstrations, they will turn violent. There will be property damage, burning, a lot of vandalism, things like that. The usual suspects will be there. Antifa will be there, and the Democratic Socialists, and all the people who basically have nothing better to do than to go out in the streets and cause problems. They can't just protest and hold their signs like civilized human beings. They have to, show up and be violent and destroy things, because that's big fun, I guess, if you have the mentality of a 3-year-old. So, with that being said, one thing of special note that is very different from the past. In the past, they always confine themselves to the large leftist cities. They are definitely branching out. They will be holding demonstrations all over the state. These demonstrations are going to be in rural towns and rural cities. I don't know why I have such a problem saying rural, but it just doesn't roll off my tongue right. But yeah, they're going to be out in the country, in the small towns and stuff. And make no mistake, while there may be some locals out in these protests out in the country, the majority of the protesters will be bussed in. And they are doing this to purposely go after the red parts of the state and cause problems in those parts of the state. All of you people who live in Eastern Washington or, rural settings, you're not used to this like the people in Seattle are. So this is a big heads up for you. And just be careful, because they're going to be causing problems all over the state. So, that being said, I am going to give you the list of the areas. It's not not a full list, but it's a very large list of where their main focus is going to be on Saturday to hold these protests. Let's see. So they are going to be in Moses Lake on Alder and Broadway, 11 to 1300 hours. They're going to be in Spokane, Riverfront Park, 0900 to 2100 hours. They'll be in Kennewick, Columbia Center, 11 o'clock to 1300. They're going to be in Wenatchee at the Memorial Park from 1100 to 1300. They are going to be in downtown Seattle at Cal Anderson Park, and they're going to march to the Seattle Center at noon. They're going to be on the UW campus at 1500 hours. They're going to be at Port Orchard, Southeast Lund Avenue at 1400 hours. They're going to be at the Washington State Capitol, 1100 to 1400 hours. They're going to be in Centralia at George Washington Park, 1300 to 1400 hours. They're going to be in Longview, and we don't have a location for that. They're trying to keep that one super secret. But there's going to be a sign up to get the location, you have to sign up for the protest, and they are going to be in Longview from 1200, which is noon, to 1300 hours. In Kalama, they're going to be at Elm Street and North 1st Street from 1100 to 1200 hours. At Gig Harbor, they're going to be at Point Fosdick and the Olympic Drive from 1200 to 1400 hours. They're going to be in Tacoma at the Defiant Goldfish, which is 5310 North Pearl Street. They're going to be there from 1200 to 1500 hours. They're going to be Federal Way, South 320th and Pacific Highway South, which would be, what's that, the Commons now? It used to be SeaTac Mall, the Commons area there, that corner. They're going to be there from 1200 to 1400 hours. They're going to be in the little town I grew up in, Auburn, Washington, on Auburn Way North and 15th Street Northeast from 1200 to 1330 hours. They're going to be on Vashon at Southwest Bank Road, Vashon Highway at 1345 hours. They're going to be in Covington. This is another one that you have to sign up to find out the actual address, and that is going to be from 1200 to 1400 hours. They are going to be in Renton at North 10th and Logan Avenue North from 1200 to 1300 hours. They're going to be in Issaquah, Front Street North and Gilman Boulevard from 1100 to 1300 hours. They're going to be in Kirkland, Centralia, Central Way and 6th Street, 1130 hours to 1400 hours. They're going to be in Bothell, Highway 522 and Highway 527 from 1100 to 1230 hours. They're going to be at the Edmonds Opera House at 515 Dayton Street, 1300 to 1430 hours. They're going to be at the Snohomish County Courthouse Plaza from 1600 to 1830 hours. And they're going to be at Bellingham City Hall from 1500 to 1800 hours. Now, these are all the main ones, the big ones that we feel they're going to have the largest participation at. But again, this is happening this Saturday, which is 2 days from today. And like I said, it's going to, with what's going on in LA and everything, I imagine this is going to get pretty violent in some of these areas, especially in the bigger cities. But there's a possibility for things to happen in all the smaller towns that they are going to. So this is a heads up for everybody out there. Avoid these areas. Just stay out of trouble. Avoid these areas and just let them make fools of themselves, which they're bound to do. They're going to go out there. They're going to yell. They're going to scream. They're going to block traffic. They're going to throw stuff. They're going to burn stuff. They're going to vandalize stuff, because that makes, that's how you change the world, right? By destroying shit. Acting like a 3-year-old and throwing a tantrum and destroying shit. But that's what's going to be going on. So this is a heads up to everybody to avoid these areas, and if you live close to there, you might want to make sure you don't have anything out there that they can destroy. Move your cars someplace else. Take care of your stuff, because the black pajama ninjas will be out there acting like petulant children that they are. So that being said, in relation to that, let me go back here and get my stuff. In case you want to know who's funding these people, all the nonprofits that are sponsoring this across the nation, this is ones that we can definitely tie to sponsoring this nationwide event. These are nonprofit organizations that have received your tax dollars, and they are sponsoring this massive protest across the country to destroy shit and be idiots. So your tax money has paid for these nonprofits who are sponsoring and help organizing this event. And I'm going to give you the names of the nonprofits that are sponsoring this, that we have directly traced to sponsoring it. And we have also looked up and see how much tax money, how many of your tax dollars they got in the last year that's listed, which would be 2023. How much of your tax dollars went to these organizations that are now going to be sponsoring these protests, most likely riots, most likely violent protests that are going to be going on. So you know not to give these nonprofits your money, and definitely don't want to support these nonprofits that are supporting this anarchy in our country. So starting at the top of the list, the ACLU Foundation of Texas Incorporated. 2023, they received $3,310,909 of your tax dollars, and they are sponsoring this. ACLU of Utah Foundation Incorporated. They received $1,436,764 of your tax dollars. Albuquerque Teachers Federation. I just love how the teachers are always involved in these protests, these teachers unions. You know, and you wonder why our education system is so screwed up, because these are the people that are in charge of it. That's why. Anyways, the Albuquerque Teachers Federation, they received $2,943,321 of your tax dollars in 2023. The American Civil Liberties Union, they received $2,963,829 of your tax dollars. The American Civil Liberties Union, another one, they received $2,857,280. So yeah, two different branches of the ACLU. That's awesome. And now we have the American Civil Liberties Union Foundation. They received $280,525,995 of your tax dollars, and they are sponsoring this anarchy. Just to be clear, know who you're talking about. By the way, all these nonprofits that received all this money were, a lot of them, funded through the Democrat Party. Go figure. They voted to give them this money. Oh, where are we at here? Okay, so we also have American Civil Liberties Union Incorporated. This is another branch of it. They got $177,082,322 of your tax money. American Civil Liberties Union of Ohio, they received $4,985,150 of your tax money. The American National Red Cross and ITS, they received $3,678,650,067 of your tax dollars. The American National Red Cross is sponsoring this event, funneling money to it. Bend the Arc, a Jewish partnership. Well, you know, unfortunately, a lot of the Jewish people in America are Democrats, so they're involved in this, I guess, and they received $4,398,647 of your tax money, and they're sponsoring this. Unbelievable. Another one, oh no, wait a minute. Let's see, 2020. That was in 2022. They got that money. 9494. Okay. Bend the Arc Jewish Action Incorporated. So I guess this is their public arm. They received $2,464,074 of your tax dollars. Black Voters Matter Fund Incorporated. They received $3,388,748 of your tax dollars in 2022. Last two, the latest filings for 2022 is all we could find, so we don't have 2023 numbers for those. BVM Capacity Building Institute Incorporated. They got $20,474,173 of your tax dollars. Color of Change Org Education Fund. They received in 2022 $15,608,394 of your tax dollars. Color4Change.org in 2022 received $4,023,965 of your tax dollars. Common Defense Civic Engagement Incorporated, they received $505,739 of your tax dollars. Common Defense Education Fund, Inc. 2023, they received $1,918,478 of your tax dollars. Fixed Democracy First Education Fund. They received $293,246 of your tax dollars in 2022. Ground Game LA. They received in 2023 $101,329 of your tax dollars. Indivisible Project. Now, these guys are sponsoring a lot of crap that's been going on lately. They're really big in the Seattle area. They sponsor most of the stuff that happens here in Seattle. Them and the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. They're two of the biggest sponsors of the violence in Seattle. And funny about DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, we have two sitting members of Congress in Washington State who are members of the Democratic Socialists of America. So, and their group sponsors violence. But anyways, back to Indivisible Project. Indivisible Project received in 2023 $12,846,626 of your tax dollars. And I believe the Indivisible Project is basically an arm of the Democrat Party, if I got my facts straight. But don't quote me on that, but I know the Democrats are really big behind that, and we'll probably look into that more later. Massachusetts Peace Action Education Fund Incorporated. They received $209,252 of your tax dollars. National Women's Law Center Action Fund. They received $1,152,188 of your tax dollars in 2022. Peace Action Education Fund. They received $282,097 of your tax money in 2023. Public Citizens Foundation Incorporated. In 2022, they received $26,661,792 of your tax money. This is a long list, ain't it? These are all the people that are sponsoring this weekend. Just so we're clear. These are all NGOs that are funded by our government. Supposedly they're nonprofits, and they're all sponsoring these protests. So, now you know why Trump has a war on NGOs. But to continue. Public Citizen Incorporated. In 2022, they received $7,075,209 of your tax dollars. Reproductive Freedom for All. In 2022, they received $11,793,815 of your tax dollars. Reproductive Freedom for All. Again, this must be a different branch. In 2022, they received $45,338,542 of your tax money. Sustainable Markets Foundation, 2022, received $40,707,831 of your tax dollars. Tennessee Democracy Network. They received in 2023 $105,485 of your tax dollars. And Tennessee Democracy, I have that on 2 pages, excuse me. Third Act Initiative, Inc. They received $2,008,973 of your tax dollars in 2023. Tides Center in 2023 received $252,065,283 of your tax dollars. That's a long list. And this list was put together by somebody else on the internet, and it's been put out there. And basically, this is all verified information. There's a lot more sponsors that we don't have the actual records to. Well, the person who compiled this list didn't have wasn't able to find the records to, so they're not on this list. But basically, these are the organizations, all left-leaning organizations that hide under NGO status, but they really, their main job is activism and doing this kind of stuff. These are the people who are behind this massive protest that's going to take place across the country this Saturday, and it's coming to a town near you, no matter where you live. They're busing people all over to cause problems throughout the state. So stay away from these areas. The lists of the locations that I read earlier and the list of these NGOs that are sponsoring this will be attached below the video for you to look at. And with that being said, that's all I have for today. Be safe out there, avoid these areas, and keep up the fight. We have to stand up to this stuff, and we have to stop it. We stop it. The best way we stop it is with your vote, with getting involved in politics. Actually go vote, because if everybody votes, your vote will matter. But when you only have 13% of the people in a county voting, you know, then you say, well, my vote don't count anyways. Well, yeah, it don't count because only 13% of you vote. If everybody who felt the way that I feel, the way a lot of us feel, if they all actually went and voted, we might be able to take the state back. Don't know unless you try. So with that, stay safe this weekend, and we'll see you next time on Behind the Wire. Good night.